Hi everyone. I'm here with the lovely Michelle and Justin. And hi. They're actually here with me, and they've generously donated their time because I know it's actually 10 p.m. where they are right now. So I'm very, very grateful to just have a bit of a chat with me about their journey to union, because they are a twin flame couple in union, and Michelle is one of our Facebook group members. And so, yeah, we've got this amazing, awesome opportunity to have a bit of a chat with them and ask some questions. So thanks, guys. Thanks so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. It's awesome that that you're here with us. So, yeah.
You're more than welcome, Julia. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share something about what we've learned, because that's what we want to do, is help make the path easier for others by sharing our stories. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you. So I guess I'll start off by asking you in general, what was it like when you first met? What sort of feelings came up? Just ask both of you what was sort of happening for you around that.
Right. So when we very first met, it was actually, we were both married to others at the time, and we both knew that we were looking for something else. And, we went looking outside of our marriages and looked to have an affair. We met on the cheating site, Ashley Madison. And it's, that's really part and parcel of our journey. We met each other and we were both committed to others. And it was this moment when we came face to face. Even before that, when I first saw his avatar and we first came in contact on Ashley Madison, there was something about him that I just spoke to me. I knew I needed to know this person. And the first day that we met, from the first moment, I knew where he was sitting in the restaurant when I showed up. I knew, I just had all these feelings that were really foreign to me. I heard voices whispering in my head, and which wasn't entirely normal for me at the time. It was becoming more normal, but I was really afraid of it. And so it happened, and I walked around the corner, and it just was like this light came down, and I knew who he was, and I felt him right here. And but at the same time, it was so deep in my trauma and difficulties of my soulmate relationship with, my marriage with my now ex-husband, that, I kind of pushed all that stuff down right from the start. But it was this amazing moment that was like nothing else. And when we kissed, we both felt it, and we jumped back from each other in shock.
Yeah, pretty much same on the piece with our marriages and stuff. I know in both cases, people would look at our marriage and say, wow, that was a great couple together. They have everything going for themselves. Everything looks like it works well. But the moment I first saw her online, and we'd shared some pictures before we met, there was something about her eyes that I knew these weren't eyes that I've never seen before, but knew that I had seen them in the past, or, we had met some, it was just weird. Going through the pictures and just she was just mesmerizing to look at, and into her eyes and stuff. And so that was something that was definitely a difference for me. It was just like there was something there, and I needed to get to know this person.
Wow, that's awesome. And I think a lot of twins can relate to that. I certainly can. I'm sort of getting goosebumps hearing that. So there's obviously some resonance there. That's amazing.
And as an aside, it's funny. I love telling this story. I've actually made there's a video that we have on our YouTube channel of me reading the first chapter. That's the description of in our books, that because we've written books about, or writing books about this, that describes that first moment. And I just love that story, that that we both felt it. And when we kissed, we sat back, and he said, "What was that?" And I was like, so I couldn't even believe that what I was feeling. And I said, "You felt it too?" Because I thought it was me being crazy. And he said, "Yes." And I was just like, I did never want that feeling to end.
Yeah, there was something very powerful in that moment, and you could just feel it. It was like, gosh, You know, some people would describe it as, you know, an ending to a movie or something. I mean, it just like, it was just the weirdest thing. And growing up all my life, I'd never even felt anything like that. You know, not even from my wife that I was married to at the time, anything like that. This was just a totally different experience. And, you know, and Michelle wasn't the first lady I was seeing when I was trying to search for this missing thing in my life that I knew I had to find and search, because I knew it was some kind of connection that I needed with somebody. And that was my whole intent of even going out and looking for someone to see why I felt certain ways and stuff about things. And that just led us to this path and this journey together. So.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And I guess that sort of leads on a bit to talking a little bit about, you know, perhaps some of the challenges you've faced, because, you know, as we know, whilst the romance element of the twin flame connection can be absolutely amazing, you know, and there's that sense of feeling, you know, knowing each other and, you know, having kind of that sense of being at home with each other. I guess, you know, as we all know, there can be a lot of challenges, especially in the lead up to union. So perhaps you could tell us a bit about, you know, challenges that you've both experienced in your connection with each other.
Gosh, what are some good ones to talk about for people? Do you have one that comes right to
some
mind?
challenges?
Yeah,
we were
coming
before
to
we were in
before
union.
and as we're coming to union.
I think just trying to get past what you were brought up in and taught. Very religious background for myself. Grew up in a cult. Very you know, things that you were supposed to do and how to do them. This went against everything that we were taught and learned. So having to struggle with that piece, you know, wanting to be the typical good Christian, if that's what you want to call it, you know, if there's no suffering in your marriage, then you don't really have a marriage. You know, there's all kinds of different talks that, you know, people would talk about, and you just need to accept it. You've made a choice, and that's the only choice for you now, and that kind of stuff. So very, very deep. That was built deep within me. And I had to start looking way down deep inside myself just to even fathom or think about stepping out of my marriage and divorcing and stuff. So that would probably be one of the first big challenges. I know even with our communication back and forth, it was one of those things that right from the first time we met, we said, I'm never going to leave my wife. She's never going to leave her husband. You know, that's not what we're looking for, but we are looking for something. And then, you know, those were our intents. I had rules. I had things that she needed to agree to if we were going to continue seeing each other, and same on her end. So
very mirror image stuff, like setting those boundaries. And it was like we met each other and we were suddenly able to, you know, what we were doing was practicing putting up boundaries between, you know, that part of our life. But it was a good practice to put up boundaries with each other and say, well, the relationship has to only be this. So from very early on, I guess we started working on that in a very weird way, like with each other, figuring out how exactly we were going to fit in each other's lives and make it work. You know, does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, so. That makes total sense. Yeah. You can see me nodding away, going, yes.
Yeah, it's and it sounds funny because it's, you know, it's an affair situation. It's not what's culturally acceptable. It's not what we like. We didn't like it. I was there because I was in a very sad place of hating myself in my life, and I needed all validation from external sources. And so, and I knew I was looking, I knew somewhere I was looking for something, but I figured it was too late. I'd already made my choices. I was married, I had 2 kids. I wasn't allowed to do anything. So I created this false life for myself to try and make myself feel better in 90% of my world with this 10% of my world. And so there was for me, I had to heal from a lot of stuff before even after that first kiss, there was still no thought that we'd ever be together beyond a few months or whatever, that the affair worked, right? Because we had no idea what was going on. But there was no long vision or horizon for our relationship. And so I was still mired in all this 3D muck and hatred, self-hatred. Then I was going to therapy, and I'd had a mental breakdown, and I left work, and all I could do to kind of get through every day. But he was like this life preserver that got thrown in there, and my weeks very quickly became like, oh, well, there he is again. There's, and I would never even really think his name. It was always his eyes that would come into my mind. And it's funny because we didn't say each other's name much before we came to union, and we still don't say each other's names very much. It's sometimes really hard to say Justin to him because he's just him. I mean, he's just me. We're just us. I don't know. There's no really good way to explain it. But you see, there's all of that to get to that. There was so much that we had to go through. So I'd say those challenges, there was a lot of layers.
Yeah, I think, thank you for sharing that. That's, incredibly eye-opening and insightful. And I think a lot of the people in our Facebook group will definitely get a lot out of hearing that and resonate with that, with parts of that, for their own journey. And I think it's so important to really be quite transparent and talk a lot about the difficulties and challenges and all that sort of stuff, because it makes us real, it makes us human. We all have a shadow side. We're not all sort of perfect. Of course, there is, wonderful sides of us as well, but we've got to accept the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything. So
I would want to add, can I add one more thing, Julia, about the challenges in union? The biggest one for us has been purely communication, because we now have this echo chamber, this twin flame. I've started to call it the twin flame echo chamber, and anybody who has been around their twin flame or connected with them in any way is going to know what I mean. You're in a place, right? You still have this separate 3D body. You're in a place, you have an emotion, you're going through it, and you forget. You still forget. I still forget sometimes. He's feeling everything, and he doesn't. There is still not completely clear telepathy all the time. I may be feeling frustration about whatever, and he's feeling the frustration. All of a sudden his questions still go to, well, is he doing everything he can do? And the concern rises, and then I feel him getting concerned, right? And that spiral is very quick to go out of control. Although, out of control isn't really where it is anymore. When we very first moved in together, sometimes it was. And we were like, there were days where he'd leave to go to work and I'd cry because I was like, this is everything I wanted. This is everything I know we're supposed to do, but how do we make this not hurt, or how do we make it smooth? Because we were still breaking out of those old 3D relationship habits of not communicating and not truly saying what we wanted to. And even both of us have behaved in narcissistic ways in the past, and that doesn't work on each other. And the other always knows exactly. If any of that happens to rise up where you think you're going to convince him by giving him the cold shoulder to take out the trash, which that doesn't happen between us, but that's a good example for any relationship. Right? If you think giving him the cold shoulder, nope, because that is going to go from something about the trash to this twin flame echo chamber of feelings and emotions, and you're going to be up until 3 o'clock in the morning talking about everything that's gone wrong. Right, sometimes until the next morning. The sun's up and it's time to go to work. So that was huge.
I think the biggest difference in that, though, is too, you learn going through that and being up till 6 in the morning. When you're done talking, you look back at it and go, wow, in my past life, we would have shut that down at midnight and maybe not even talked about it ever again. It would have just got buried and pushed away, and we'll wait until it comes up again next time, that type of thing. Not in this relationship. You can't do it. It won't allow you to. It won't let you. You have to. Your spirit team is just telling you got to work this out, and they won't let you go to sleep until you are happy. Doesn't have to be in a happy state, but you have aired everything that you need to do about that subject and discussion and stuff. And that is the biggest thing that I know is something that identifies to me that this is truly my twin flame, because I can't bury anything. I can't hide it. I can't push it down because, again, she feels it. I feel it, vice versa. Everything we talk about is just well, if I get in the mood, and I just don't want to talk, it just drives her crazy, and then that drives me crazy, and so then we end up having to talk because there's no rest. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it's almost like this kind of contagious feedback loop.
Exactly.
Yeah. The positive.
We've really learned to manage it. Fortunately, we've really worked hard.
That's I've not actually heard it described as the echo chamber. I love that. It's great. And I guess, I think someone in the group was quite curious about the runner chaser stage, just sort of to take a few steps back out of union, obviously. Although, I guess for some twins that may be an element in union, I'm not sure. But I guess there was some curiosity, for you guys around what that was like and what was happening for both of you when that was going on.
Yeah, so the way I like to describe it is I ran for 5 months and he chased me with one email to an email address that I swear I did not give him because it was my real email address, and I was having affairs and I didn't give my real email address to anyone. So somehow he got that email, and I had like I said, I was in a very dark place. I had a suicide attempt, and he emailed me the next day and said, I think about you every day. I miss you. I don't know why you cut off all contact, but I just wanted you to know I've never felt a connection like this. And that's all the email said. And it was like, I couldn't email him back fast enough, was what it felt like to me. So, and we've never been out of contact for more than a day or two, unless we had to, like when we were still married and he would be gone on a family vacation. That's not, you're not doing that. You're focused on where you're at and what you're doing. And so we'd be out of contact then. But we haven't been out of contact for more than, a day since then, or 2 days, because we just can't. There's this feeling, this pull, this, we process everything better when we process it together. Everything is more real when we live it together. And we felt that very early on. So that runner chaser thing for us kind of looked different. And for me, I think reading and knowing about a lot of other twin flame journeys at this point, people coming to me telling their stories, it's not usually the female body, the female 3D who runs. And a lot we see is, the now I'm not talking about the energy, right? The feminine energy, the masculine energy.
I probably ask about that. Yeah.
I probably have I have definitely more. We're kind of close to 50-50 in each of these bodies. He has so much feminine, he really embraces, and I love how the way that we both kind of use both sides of the energy. And it's funny to talk about that as part of like this runner chaser thing, but I think that maybe you see this different dynamic in us because from the beginning we had this slightly different than typical balance of masculine and feminine. So I ran, he chased with one email, and there just was no being out of contact after that. What would you say?
Yeah, for me it was when she cut off contact, that's when I felt this tug of this connection trying to be ripped away from me, and it was probably her not knowing that she had the ability to shield off stuff like that, but it was just like cords being cut, and it drove me nuts, and again, there was Ashley Madison, there was an endless supply of meeting people. So, I continued to fill that void still by doing that during those 5 months of our separation. And then there was just something that hit me that day and said, you know what, you need to reach out to Michelle and figure it out. And, I don't know how I had the email, her personal email. I don't remember if she gave it to me by accident at one time or not. I don't know. All we can say is it ended up in her box the day after, right? Your suicide attempt. So, and I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know about the car accident or anything that led us up to those points. So it was amazing just to even, get a reply from her. And then once I got the reply from her, I was like, oh, it just felt right. And so, like she said, ever since then, we've been in constant contact. Even when I was on vacation, I'd still find ways to communicate. So there was, there's just a draw and a connection there that nobody could break. So.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like, like you said, you guys are sort of perhaps not sort of the typical, twin flame kind of dynamic that you talk about in terms of the runner chaser sort of element, I guess, or masculine feminine balance. I know for my connection, I'm very much all the feminine and he's very much all the masculine. So there's a lot of running on his side and there was a lot of chasing on mine. But obviously that's now no longer.
How did it come to balance where that dynamic ended? How did you guys come to union, or
well, we're not actually in physical union, but I think we're probably more closer to energetic union, if that makes sense, because it feels like there's a lot more peace and kind of balance and harmony within the connection. I don't feel like there's sort of anger and resentment, coming from him, and I'm certainly not sitting in that place. But our dynamic is very different because we haven't been in contact for several years. So it's been a long sort of physical separation, which I particularly struggled with, being, I guess, more of the feminine energy. So, all of the distorted feminine kind of was very much triggered, in terms of, why doesn't he want me and blah, 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 and all that stuff, sitting in that very codependent sort of needy place. And I guess for him, it was the sort of opposite. It was, leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with this connection. This is ridiculous. You're just some kind of strange metaphysical person that I don't understand. Because I think you mentioned, Rochelle, in the Facebook group that your mum is a Taurus.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, my mum is a Taurus. So.
Oh, really? What are you?
Sorry?
What are you? What's your sign?
I'm Gemini. I'm Gemini. So I'm very kind of flexible, I guess, and there's a lot of air energy, which obviously equates to more thinking energy, which is, I guess sometimes a hindrance.
My best friend is a Gemini. Well, one of my two best friends.
There you go. Yeah.
My other one is Pisces. We get this twin stuff going on, all the twin signs.
Oh yeah, wow.
That's Gemini.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess, just a very different dynamic, but it's amazing, I think, that there's still some really significant overlaps just in terms of the experience of twin flames in general. There's obviously the amazing connection, that sense of home, there's the metaphysical side, there's that intense pull, there's the challenges. It's all still there, regardless of, who's the runner, who's the chaser, who's the masculine, feminine. Yeah, so
energy is all still there. It's just a question of what are the little eddies and sideways that it's flowing into. It's interesting how the different twin flame balances, lead to these different paths that all kind of have similar elements, like you're saying. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I guess I was just curious as well, to kind of hear about what you feel like your biggest learnings have been on the journey. I mean, I guess you probably touched on, some of that already, but is there anything else that you can think of that's kind of, particularly significant or prolific for you?
Really, I mean, I guess for me, it's what I touched on, self-love, right? And
yeah,
I wanted to be, ultimately what ended up happening to me was, even though it didn't seem like there was any way we'd ever be together, and I still didn't think I wanted to leave my marriage, I wanted to be a good enough person that he would want to be with me, because I wanted to be with him. And I don't know, once I saw that, but I was like, but I want to do this for me regardless. And it was a very sort of galactic shift for me to find that self-love. So for me, that was a huge lesson. And I can't say enough about the communication. I'm so thankful for the ability to communicate with my twin and to master this echo chamber and master all of it. All of the challenges of being in union it's made me galactically better also with communicating, I think, with everybody. I've learned that my empath sense is a lot stronger than I realized it was. I've learned that it can handle a lot more, and I can, manage it a lot better. And so through my twin flame relationship, and so I've been able to take that and apply it in other places. So on the sort of metaphysical plane, it's been hugely helpful too. My visions and my downloads now, and the information that I get comes fast and very easy to listen to. Every day it's easier, I share it right directly to Justin. When that happens, I just sometimes I have to get it and kind of figure it out, but I say it to him and somehow we understand everything together immediately, even if it's just me saying it to him, me hearing it through his ears, and then me being able to understand what I said to begin with, if that makes any sense. So those were my biggest lessons and advancements, I'd say.
I'm still trying to get there on some of that level. You know, sometimes I still to this day get a little, I wouldn't say jealous, but she gets to experience all this stuff in the spiritual realm while I, you know, have to go out and I work in the public, and I'm an empath. So I get hit all day long with customers and all kinds of stuff all day long, and trying to solve problems there and stuff. And then, you know, it's nice to be able to come home and listen to where she's at and what she has going on, and stuff. But also sometimes it's hard to turn that off and say, well, I want some of that. But I know right now my role is to keep us financially sound, and so that we can get to our final destination or our path, the journey that we both want to be a part of, which we know is healing and helping others heal, others to get to that path. I mean, that's the stuff I want to do, and that's always been something that was in my mind for years, and we've talked about it before. You know, I've had visions of us being in groups, huge groups, and sharing our stories and helping people come, you know, to help them grow themselves into these spiritual beings, you know, helping them get to that fifth dimension, that thinking and really love themselves and stuff. So, you know, right now I'm kind of on the path of still having to deal with the outside stuff and not able to focus 100% like Michelle is right now, but I'm happy that one of us are able to do it because we still benefit from, you know, that shared knowledge and stuff, and it just feels so right. And I don't know, I'm not very good at speaking as she is. She's got the words and stuff. I'm more of the guy that, you know, I try to keep it real and let people know that, you know, if you're going to talk to me, you're going to hear it just spill out of my mouth. You know, I don't, unfortunately, I don't have all the great words and stuff to back it up, but I think me being as real as I can be is all that others need. So
I agree 100%. I actually think it's really awesome how real you guys are. You're just both so real. It's wonderful. And you know, I know it seems like, well, yeah, you know, that's kind of just what we do. But
well, no, we didn't used to be. And it's really hard for so many people to be that. This world teaches us to wear ego masks from the minute we're born, And so the fact that we can live so close to our skin, our spirit, so close to our skin is just a testament to the strength of, and the wonder of the twin flame connection, that we can trust now to truly be ourselves at all times and show everything through these skins, right? Both of us. Justin has to put that away every day. It's really hard for him to go out in 3D at that job, right? But we know we planned it. It's what we're doing, and we just do everything we can to keep our bubble safe, you know, when we're together. We protect that fiercely.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, for me, in terms of my mission, it's very much about cutting back all of the BS, you know, that's out there in some of the twin flame literature, and well, we'll just say, you know, twin flame land, I guess you could say, because some of it, you know, I would probably, and this is probably going to sound a bit crass, but some of it I would say equates to what I like to refer to as romantic spiritual porn. So, you know, as in, oh, it's this sort of wonderful fated connection, and you know, it's all about this sort of fairy tale romance, and you're supposed to constantly sort of send love, and you know, of course that's part of it, but it's not, you know, it's not the be all and end all. And primarily, you know, what I've found to be very, very true in this journey is it's first and foremost about the self.
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
None of this could have happened without us finding ourselves first.
Yeah. So what
I was always brought up and taught, serve others, and don't spend time with yourself. And you know, and that's what you're just taught continuously, you know, give. And if you start thinking you need something, then you're not on the right path. You need to continue to give your service and stuff. And I'm not against giving service, but you know, when I finally figured things out and I was giving 1-2 hours a day to myself to meditate, work out. I mean, I found working out the way to meditate for myself, but it had to really, it took that to realize that I really was somebody, and I was proud of who I was, and really able to love myself before I could have stepped out of and back into the world. So it was really getting to that point of self-love first, and then once I figured that out, and things just started happening for me. I mean, everything. I mean, everything kind of just started lining up.
Yeah, you got into the flow. You got into alignment. Yeah, very much so. Awesome. I think the only other sort of question that we haven't really explored is just around, and we've touched on it, I think, just around twin flame mission. Because I think you guys mentioned that you're getting a lot of questions from twins in the community about, you know, whether all twin flames have the same mission, or whether, you know, there's different missions for different twin flame couples. So I was just curious to sort of hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so we actually, before we came to union, it was about 6 months before we actually moved in together, which we sort of mark as the beginning of our union. Even though I think maybe there was a little static in there and we weren't really united until a little after that, but you know what I mean, that moment we moved in together. So it was about 6 months before that, that when I had the epiphany, you know, we were at my office. I had an office where I practiced, had my healing practice, and Justin's wife had found out about our affair and asked to meet me. I'd received some messages for her in a very odd turn of circumstances from her mother, who's passed, and I had these messages that I had to give to her, this whole family story and all this stuff, and she wanted to meet me. So the three of us met at my office and sat down, and it was during that meeting that I knew, it hit me like a ton of bricks, what our mission was, which was eventually we were going to tell everything about our story, because we were not having to is the wrong energy. We were telling everything we could. We were coming clean to, you know, telling his wife everything, you know, a lot about our spiritual understandings that we had come to, the spiritual path that we were finding. And it was in this moment when the three of us were sitting in the office, that I just said, we're writing a book. We're writing a book because we're telling Justin's story. I'm writing a book of Justin's story. It was so confusing because I knew our story was going to come out in this book. And so, and that we were going to share it through the world that way. And I said it, and Justin, when we talked about it after the fact, Justin said, when you said it, I just knew it was true. You know, he said, I just felt it like here. And so that is our mission, to share our story. And we've made some really good headway on that. Actually, Monday, our second part of our novella series drops. We published the last one on June 11th.
Which is
of
the
2020.
anniversary of our first meeting. So
the anniversary of the day that we met was when we published the first one. The 5-year anniversary of the day we met was when we published the first one. And then of course tomorrow, or Monday, well, tomorrow for you, Monday for 2 days for us, whatever, it's very confusing, but Monday 2/22 is when we're dropping the second part. So we had to pick that angel number day. Because we always say, when we see 222, we say 222, I love you. That's our thing with the angel number. So
yeah, that's so awesome. And so
that's our mission.
Sorry,
but that's our mission. But to the other question about, like, what about the questions that we're getting from the community is a lot lately around missions is, you know, I think from what I've seen, that there is a collective twin flame mission, and it is really to eliminate division in the world. It's to bring love, absolute love, in between everybody, and to stop having division. And so what better way to showcase that than twin flames all coming awake at the same time, in order to be in these pairs of people who learn to function as one unit with all of the subterfuge and all of the bad energy taken away between them. If that's what union is ultimately, right? You learn to function and be as one cohesive being and unit, and both in 3D and spiritually. I mean, that's what we're finding. We move at the same time. We do the same things together. We move around each other like a flame twisting, right? And so it really does sort of start to happen on all planes of our existence. And so what better way to for the twin flame community to help the world see that we should eliminate division than by two people who are able to live and be like that without division between them, and the absolute harmony we can achieve. Everybody deserves that and everybody should have it. And so I think that's the bigger mission. And ours fits in that, you can see by sharing our story. So.
Yeah, I feel that so strongly. Yeah. And I think there's so much need for that, particularly at this point in time. There's so much polarization that's going on in the world, you know, particularly, I guess, you know, you've got sort of, you know, well, obviously Trump's no longer in the picture, but, you know, you've got the Trump-Biden divide over where you guys are in the States. And, you know, just in terms of all across the world, you can see that there's so much amazing, well, not amazing, but, you know, so much destructive, you could say, division it's really damaging. You know, it's very damaging energetically. And as we know, you know, being spiritual beings on the twin flame path, or just spiritual beings in general, it's that energetic frequency that causes all of the upheavals and the destruction and the hate and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, you know, it really is that simple, but it's not that simple at the same time. That's what I'm getting.
Oh, that's what makes it so hard to put down, because it's an endlessly fascinating puzzle and spiral of learning how to make all of that better, because you can't just do it in a linear fashion. Yeah. None of this energetic uplifting or anything, none of it is like from here to there, just like the twin flame journey isn't. So.
Oh no, I always say it's like a lattice, not a ladder, you know, in terms of actually working your way through the journey. You know, you might.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not a straightforward path. It's not, you know, a straightforward shot, you know, up a mountain to ascension. It's kind of like you're presented with all these different challenges, and sometimes, you know, you kind of you make amazing headway, and you just, you know, you're rearing forward and all that sort of stuff. But then there's a tower moment or something presents in your path, and you kind of, you know, it's almost like 2 steps forward, 1 step back in that moment, and then you know, you kind of got to sidestep and deal with some other challenge that comes up. And
so it really is. That's such a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh wow, it's so yeah, I love having these sort of chats, because there's just, you know, so much common ground, and, you know, it's like we're just really sharing with Soul Tribe, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess the only other thing left is, you know, is there any kind of last sentiment or message or anything like that you feel would be really, really helpful for people to know in the group? Or sorry, I put you on the spot there a bit.
Hey, no, it's really not the spot. What would be the thing that I'd want to leave them with? Well, you know, what you said, it really is a journey to self before it's anything else.
Yeah.
We can't emphasize that enough.
I think that's what we're finding out too, with people that are curious, and they're you know, emailing us, asking questions and stuff, and, you know, they're wanting to know where they're at for sure. And the first thing that always crosses my mind, and I know it crosses Michelle's mind, is where are you at as an individual? You know, until you can love yourself, if you're still looking for your twin flame and not accepting yourself, you're not going to find them, guaranteed. So you really got to work on that self first. That's the first place to start. I know for me, all these changes would not have happened until I took the time to actually dig down within inside myself and spend time with myself. It's so funny to talk about that now, because before I didn't do that. You know, that was kind of silly. That was silly talk. Or you didn't spend time with yourself, you know? Isn't that wrong? No, you know, it's, but no, it truthfully, and I saw the transformation that I took when I started focusing on myself, and all the self-healing that started to happen within inside my body, and the changes that happened in my body. once I was able to focus on that and feel that. So
Yeah, so awesome. Yep,
Yeah.
resonating 100%. I love it.
And we welcome questions at any time. We've, you know, we have an author page on Facebook. It's Michelle and Justin White author page. Is it okay if I show the cover of the book? I think it'll be backwards, but that's okay. It'll be backwards. But it's Souls on Fire, Memoirs of a Twin Flame True Love Journey. This is part one. Part red, it has red in the background. So we're really excited.
Cool. Did you guys
So, you know, I'd love it if people, oops, if people want to read that.
I was going to suggest actually that when I post this recording that you guys can actually, or sorry, probably yourself, Michelle, you can actually just add, you know, where people can find your novella.
Oh, sure.
And also a link to your Facebook page as well, and all those sort of details, so people can find you and, you know, reach out and ask questions if they have any. So
yeah,
a valuable resource, and, you know, again, really, really, really appreciate it.
We'd love to help. It's all of our help. All our help is telling our story, because that's all what we're good at, is telling what we've been through. So that's, you know, we love to answer questions.
I know when we get on to talking to individuals, it's so hard to, okay, do I want to get into that part yet? Or do I want to share that? Because there's so much to share. There's so many things that people could learn.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a journey that we've had the last 2 years that, I mean, we could talk for hours on all kinds of stuff. So,
I know.
So it's nice getting a chance to share what we can, and then hopefully make sense of it all without trying to jam a bunch of it together. But
yeah, just out of curiosity though, how long have you guys been in union rather, would you say, or is that kind of?
Well, it's like 2 years and a few months, 2 years and 2.5 years, not quite 2.5 years. It's about that.
it'll be what, 3 in October.
It'll be 3 in October.
Oh wow. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome stuff. Well, thank you again so much. I appreciate it's getting late where you are, so I don't want to hold you up anymore.
Well, we love it. Thank you so much, Julia. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you for the healing work you're doing. We appreciate it.
Thank you as well. Much gratitude from both sides. So, all right. Thanks. See you.